My name's Lizzie Karen and welcome to my YouTube channel. This dream, it's not about Atlantis, it's about the ancient land of Kem, otherwise known as Egypt. And it feels more like a fairy story than a dream. I did not feel that I was inside the dream, more like I was an observer, and that's pretty unusual for my dreams. Anyway, it was at a time when the pyramids looked kind of rough, like no one had cared about them. A lot of buildings on the plateau, they were all pretty much wrecked, and the plateau was in ruins. It was a dangerous place to go because a person could easily fall into one of the long shafts or hole in the ground and basically never be seen again. Previous rulers had started to clear the mess in the area and explore it for riches. Anything they found from the ancients was a treasure. And some things were like magic. For example, some lights that came on in the tunnels when someone approached. But if they touched them, they never worked again. The magnificence of the structures fascinated all who saw them. They explored everywhere they could find. The ruler of Kem in this dream, or should I say Pharaoh, was totally fixated on both the ancients who had built them and of using them to recreate his own legacy. He was determined to return them to the glory of the ancients so that no other culture or ruler could claim to be as great. At that time, Kem was open to trade and many foreigners visited. The land was as bountiful as it was beautiful, and the people needed only work part of the year, as the river did most of the work to provide food. So in the quiet times, the ruler asked the people to work on his, let's say, national pride renovation projects, to make Kem a place of awe to any foreigner who might see it. He provided a village full of good food, beer, and much celebration. The work was hard, but the camaraderie and good pay made them very happy. Happy that was until the money started to run out. As funds depleted, the ruler was not as generous as before, and the people were grumbling. My dream, however, focused actually on the ruler's daughter. Her name was Teabeth. She was one of many children to the ruler's 3 wives, but she was definitely his favourite. She called him Iti. I'm guessing his name was actually Khufu, but that was not in my dream at all. She was exceptional in every way, intelligent, gentle, sweet-natured, funny, and very beautiful. She was always nearby him, and sometimes he could hear her calling, "Itty, Itty," when she was coming down the hallways to see him. Anyway, she was so beautiful that a wealthy foreigner, possibly a prince, but hey, that wasn't very clear in the dream, heard of her beauty and visited Kem in the hope that he could see her and maybe marry her. He took with him much silver, gold, and gifts for her father. Upon seeing her, he was instantly in love, and amazingly, she reciprocated. Although foreigners were welcome and much effort was put into impressing them, a foreigner was not considered to be in the same league as a person from Kem, no matter how much wealth they had. And they were certainly not suitable to be married into the royal family. Her father had expected her to marry either from within the family or a high official, but not a foreigner. Never a foreigner. He immediately rejected the offer of his daughter's hand, and It was a hard thing to do because he would rather have liked to have the money that was being offered. But when he told his daughter, she was very upset. She was angry, and she told her father that she would never marry anyone else. The royal coffers were very low at this time, and the pharaoh had an idea of how he could keep his daughter in Egypt and get money at the same time. Lots and lots of money. He told his daughter that although he would not permit her to marry the foreigner, he would permit her to be with him for 1 month of each year, as long as upon each visit the foreigner paid the ruler the same amount that he offered for her hand in marriage. The foreigner, whose name actually eluded me in the dream, agreed, and each year he would travel to visit the beautiful Teabeth. They were very happy when they were together, and she kept herself busy while he was away. The pharaoh used the money from the foreigner to continue his building projects, which included renovations, temples, and massive causeways. Each season, when work was not needed on the land, he would pay his people to work on his projects. They were well fed and well paid, once again, and that was thanks to his daughter. Teabeth had several children, and each one would return with the father to the foreign land upon reaching their 5th birthday. Teabeth's lover each year bought the money required, but always brought a little extra for Teabeth. He hoped that one day she would escape the clutches of her father and return with him. She kept her money secreted away. I do not remember in the dream how it happened, but she died before she could escape. The ruler was devastated. In the dream, the foreigner returned for his annual visit to discover that she had died. He too was devastated. He gifted what he had brought with him to her father and took back with him his remaining 2 children that had been living with their mother. He never returned to Egypt again. Teabeth's father quickly ran out of money and could no longer pay his people, but insisted that his people continue to work anyway, since the projects were near to completion. But he found himself much hated by his people. The ruler became a miserable, reclusive, angry person. He missed his daughter, and he missed the money she had provided. After her death, he found the money she had kept for herself, and he used it to build her a tomb of her own. As an aside, renovation of the Great Pyramid and the building and the walkway and the temples took about 23 years. The pyramid alone required about 48,000 people in teams and sub-teams. Then there were the teams working on the walkway and other teams working on the temples, etc. And finally all the teams that supported the work, providing raw materials, blocks, food, etc. Some of the raw materials were available from the rubble that remained on the plateau, but other stone for casing, for example, came from a quarry across the Nile. Except when funds were low, the workers enjoyed their time on the projects. Teams would even compete. They only worked during the off periods, when the work in the fields was not necessary. It was treated like a work hard, play hard 3-month holiday each year. It was mainly the young adults, so many people even met their future wives and husbands during this time. Teams included skilled stonemason craftsmen, like the ones who set up the ropes, the pulleys, the ramps, made the tools, etc. beer makers, food preparers, as well as the more menial labourers. Not to mention the others that worked in the quarry and transportation. It seemed hard to believe, but on average they managed 80 limestone casing stones per workday. And they managed to put those in place, which was about 20 per side over that 23-year period. A great achievement, but really hard to imagine now. It seems that it's believed that they actually built it from scratch, so my dream only covered them putting in casing stones. But if they'd had to build it from scratch over, that sort of time frame, it would have required them to put in place 1,200 blocks a day. That's just unbelievable. That's just mind-boggling. But anyway, that's not what was in my dream. I just, had a nosy to see what archaeologists had said. Anyway, upon completing the casing, then they took another 2 years or so, and the finalization of it all. So, but in my dream, the pictures of it were so clear. Everything was just amazing. But the main thing was about the daughter. It's actually really very sad. But anyway, that was my dream. Thank you, everybody. Bye.